A girl goes through many changes during puberty. Of the changes listed here, which are the two changes relating to the female reproductive system? Drag and drop the two changes into the spaces provided. In this unit, you are going to learn every month. Almost every woman in the world who has passed puberty will have their menstruation. Menstruation is a special thing that almost all women in the world share. It is a sign of womanhood and fertility that every woman should be proud of. In ancient times, people made up stories about menstruation because they did not understand what menstruation really is. Menstruation is actually the monthly discharge of blood out of the body through the vagina. Together with the blood is the lining of the uterus and the unfertilized ovum. Menstruation is one stage of the menstrual cycle. Let's see what really goes on inside our bodies during a menstrual cycle. A normal menstrual cycle lasts 28 days. The menstrual cycle is divided into 4 stages. The menstrual cycle is represented in this diagram, showing the thickness of the uterus lining at 4 stages. Examine each stage of the menstrual cycle to know what happens during each stage. Click on the stages of the menstrual cycle to see what happens. The first stage of the menstrual cycle starts with menstruation. During menstruation, the lining of the uterus is broken down together with the unfertilized ovum and some blood. This stage lasts from day 1 to day 5. Click on the back button to go back. Stage 2 is the stage after menstruation. After menstruation, the lining of the uterus wall begins to repair itself. The lining slowly thickens. Stage 2 normally lasts from day 6 to day 10. Click on the back. In stage 3, an ovum is released from the ovary into the fallopian tube. This stage is also known as the fertile phase because if sperms are deposited into the female reproductive system at this time, there is a high chance that fertilization will occur. If that happens, the woman will get pregnant. Stage 3 normally lasts from day 11 to day 17, and the ovum is normally released from the ovary on day 14. Click on Stage 4 is the last stage. At this stage, the uterus lining continues to thicken and has lots of blood vessels. The lining is getting ready to receive the fertilized ovum. Stage 4 lasts from day 18 to day 28. Click on the back button to go back. You have seen what happens during the menstrual cycle and how the lining of the uterus wall changes at the different stages. You know that at stage 4, the lining of the uterus is at its thickest because it is getting ready to receive a fertilized ovum. But what happens if the ovum does not get fertilized? Discuss with your friends and teacher. Then, click Check Answer. If the ovum is not fertilized, the ovum dies and the lining of the uterus wall breaks down. the shedding of the ovum and lining of the uterus, and some blood marks the start of day 1 of the next menstrual cycle. Here's another way of representing the menstrual cycle. Move the pointer around the menstrual cycle clock and see what happens to the female reproductive system. Explore to see what actually happens at the blue, yellow, pink, and orange stages of the cycle. Then, match the colors of the different stages with the description of what happens to the reproductive system. Drag the colored boxes and drop them into the appropriate spaces. Fill in the chart on your activity sheet. Investigate the menstrual cycle of What is menstruation? Click on the correct answer. The menstrual cycle is the way a woman's body gets ready for the possibility of pregnancy each month. A woman who wishes to be pregnant will use her menstrual cycle to calculate the days when fertilization is possible. Is fertilization possible when a woman is menstruating? Click on your answer. Well, fertilization is not possible when the woman is menstruating. There is no ovum in the female reproductive system at this time for a sperm to fertilize. For fertilization to occur, there needs to be a sperm and an ovum. If there is sperm but no ovum, fertilization cannot take place. Therefore, consider the menstrual cycle. At which stage will fertilization most likely occur? Click on the blue, yellow, pink, or orange stage. Yes, this stage is known as the fertile phase. This is when the ovum is released from the ovary into the fallopian tube. The ovum is normally released on day 14 of the cycle. The fertile phase is when the ovum is released from the ovary into the fallopian tube. This is called ovulation. The fertile phase lasts around a week, from day 11 to day 17 of the menstrual cycle. This is because the day of ovulation can be early or late by a few days. If sperms are deposited into the female reproductive system during the fertile phase, the sperms can swim to meet the ovum in the fallopian tube. Sometimes the sperm can wait in the fallopian tube for the release of the ovum by the ovary. This is because a sperm can live for around 3 days, but the ovum can only live for a day. If the sperm and the ovum get fused together, fertilization takes place. This is the first step towards pregnancy. Women can use this knowledge of the fertile phase to choose whether or not to be pregnant. So you see, menstruation is not actually unclean, as people in ancient times thought it was. Women should be proud of their menstruation because it symbolizes their fertility and ability to reproduce. It is therefore all the more important for women to look after themselves during their menstruation. During menstruation, there may be a lot of bacteria growing in the vagina and cervix. If girls going through menstruation do not keep themselves clean, they may suffer itchiness and inflammation of the vagina. The vaginal area may give out bad odor. At the same time, some girls may suffer discomfort or moodiness during menstruation. They may not feel like doing anything or participating in sports and other activities. Having your menstruation does not necessarily have to be difficult. You just have to maintain a good personal hygiene, a good attitude, and an emotional balance. For example, once you begin menstruating, you'll need to use either a sanitary pad or a tampon to soak up the menstrual blood. Regular changing of pads or tampons is important in order to prevent buildup of bacteria and eliminate odor. Remember to throw away the used sanitary pads into the proper bins. Changing your underwear regularly will also help eliminate odor during menstruation. Wash your genital area every day with a mild soap and plenty of warm water, as well as bathing with warm water daily during your period. Try to be as active as normal during your menstruation. You will find that participating in activities can take your mind off the discomfort, can improve your mood, and help you have a problem-free menstruation. Study the menstrual cycle of a woman. Did you get these answers? The process of ovulation for a woman. How long does a regular menstrual cycle last? Click on the correct. How long does a regular menstrual cycle? Click on one of the questions to see the answer. What is menstruation? Menstruation is the monthly bleeding through the vagina. Click on one of the questions. What is a menstrual cycle? The menstrual cycle is the regular monthly cycle involving ovulation and menstruation. Click on one of the questions. What are the changes to the uterus wall during the menstrual cycle? During menstruation, the broken down uterus lining is shed. After menstruation, the lining starts to grow again. After ovulation, the lining further thickens, and if the egg is not fertilized, the lining breaks down and sheds during the next menstruation. Click on one of the questions to see the answer. How does fertilization relate to the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle? Fertilization can only occur during the fertile phase. If the ovum is fertilized, it will embed itself in the prepared uterus lining, and then a pregnancy begins. Click on one of the questions to see the answer. Why is personal hygiene important during menstruation? Maintaining a good personal hygiene during menstruation is important because it will make you feel clean and good. Many women suffer from menstrual cramps during their periods. This is the abdominal pain that a woman feels a few days before their menstruation. This pain may carry on even until a few days during menstruation. Menstrual or period cramps is one of the most common uncomfortable sensations women may have during menstruation. Painful menstruation is accompanied by either sharp, intermittent pain or dull, aching pain, usually in the pelvis or lower abdomen. What causes these cramps? How can you relieve menstrual cramps? Discuss. Premenstrual syndrome, PMS, affects some women before menstruation begins. How can you tell if you are having PMS? Is there any relief or cure for this? Find out and present your findings in class.